Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we're going through the AFLW fantasy team vanilla that I did create. Just going through it, and I thought about this being a good idea of just going through, looking at the team vanilla, seeing what people are seeing for it. And generally, I think people have a very similar idea on things. I think that there's obviously, with the prices and the price gap between especially primos and the rookies, it did sway a little bit, and there was one sort of spot where it flipped a little bit and caused a little bit of headaches trying to create the team. But anyway, I think that at least this team, it's very much primos and rookie based. There's no real mid prices, which could actually be a good thing in the forward line to do, is just go too good and rookies. But anyway, let's just jump into this video and look at the team and sort of see what I see and how it sort of shapes up to my side in general. You've got Thomas, Sheeran, Giorgio Stathis as the top three, or the three sort of primo, especially from last year. Defenders, Thomas, understand this completely. I think there is still meat on the bone there, with just respect to this this Fremantle game here, where she spent the whole last quarter on the bench. I also think just in general, she really did develop into a really good defender in the latter part of the season in terms of a fantasy peak defender. With West Coast still being horrific, I think that, or at least they should still be down near the bottom, I think that Thomas will still be a really good one to have. And I think that she can, even if she just averages near enough that 70, I think that she'll be one that will be up there around about the top of the tier. If we just go to averages here, my computer is slow today. You'll see here, if she averages even 68, 69, I still think that she'll be a really good buy, just because that is top of the line. And I mean, you could maybe save like 100k for like 3 or 4 less points, but I think her bottom out is like 68, 67 from this 72, but I think her top out is sort of around that 75, and that 75 could be really, really valuable. Getting an underpriced top of the line player could be huge. Especially after seeing what Carney's done in the past and how that can filter through. I think that Thomas can take a lead on that. Sheeran, another one that I think could potentially have some meat there on the bone, but I think she's one that I've decided not to necessarily go for, just because I think that there is a better option here. But I think 71 for her, I think that there is definitely value there. I think that she's probably one that I end up with. I just need to, let me just double check this with respect to the buys, because that is kind of crucial. When do Richmond play theirs? They play theirs in round 5. I don't know whether necessarily I'll have I can go back now. Whether necessarily I'll have a full defender line by then or not, or whether I'll be attacking a midfielder or whatnot, but there could be a chance that in that round I don't necessarily attack another North Melbourne midfielder. Sorry, there's no real rucks, there's no real forwards, so I may just attack a Richmond in Sheeran to fill this Butler role, as Collingwood will have already played their double. Butler will be up massively, potentially within 300k of Sheeran. Talking about Butler here. Sheeran, you can see that gap is 565k. That gap could really close, given that Butler is going to have 5 games compared to 4 to Sheeran at that point, by the end of round 4. So I think that gap could really close, and that could be a trade where you're making, you're getting Butler off, but you're getting Sheeran on, and I think that could be a trade that's really worthwhile. In that time, or you're doing I don't even know, does Brisbane have any rookies? West Coast, Western Bulldogs. Maybe you're upgrading an Aarons at that time as well, if the lower score out of Aarons or Butler for me, because I still have Aarons in the current setup. Something like that, as they'll have already played their double. But I think that Thomas is huge, because the most benefit you're going to get out of Thomas is in this round here, this round 4, and I think by starting her, you get that, and then you can move off, because she'll have made the most points by then, I think, out of all defenders. So I think that is really valuable out of that, and just targeting these the primos in this sort of week 4 double, because I think that is one of the reasons why she's going to be so highly owned. And I think Sheeran, because she follows in round 5 here, is why she's highly owned as well. Georgia Stafford, I think, is one as well that you can target, because it is slightly risky, but as we said, I don't know exactly what it was. Let me just bring up my phone here to just bring up my notes on Western Bulldogs. But I think that she is one. Let me just bring it up here. Where are they? Western Bulldogs. Georgia Stafford could take kick-ins, or it could be Aaron. So one of those two could take kick-ins, which would be really, really valuable. And so that's why she's there. But she also has that early double, which could be really, really valuable, as she just jumps ahead of the crowd. And aside from Thomas, I think she could be the top scoring defender in the first 4 rounds. So that's why she's there. Ruth Schleichler, she plays as well in round 4. So I think that these 3 are really, well, these 4 in general are really highly owned, because they had the first double. And you can get double points there. You can smash out, have a huge round in round 4. And then you can go, which one of these defenders is the lowest scoring defender so far? Okay, I will dump that for someone who's on the double next week, which will probably be Sheeran. So it's looking like there's potential that all 5 of my defenders have the double in round 4, and then I just move them on for round 5 doubles, round 6 doubles, etc. That's sort of the plan that I'm doing with that. And BT, I think, is just a playable rookie at this point. There's also McDonald, who I think is someone that's been touted, even though I don't know why exactly. I'd need to look into that more with regards to Geelong, but she seems to be highly owned. I had her last year when she went well, and then she just decided not to basically be on the ground or something. Wasn't necessarily that. She just decided not to score for some reason, which was annoying. 53 in round 1, and I thought, I've got a really good rookie. It just couldn't get her off, and she couldn't get games. So, yeah, I'll have to look more into that when I go through the Geelong reviews, etc., and get more knowledge on them. Midfield, I think this is pretty stock standard, or at least the top 2 here. If we go to midfield, selected by get rid of defenders, you can see that they're the only 2 above 40%. And then you've got Goody and Rowbottom. But realistically, those 3 primos are the 3 that are up there. And there is a chance that I do go Rowbottom instead of Goldsworthy, I think. If I remember correctly, they both... When does... but Goldsworthy has the double... When's Goldsworthy? Goldsworthy has the double in round 7. Rowbottom in round 6. So there's a chance that if you just quickly look at this is the side that I'm currently running with. There's a chance that I get rid of Ewings and O'Sullivan, drop them to rookies, and then also get Goldsworthy up to the likes of a Rowbottom, because in general, Rowbottom should be scoring more points than Zali Goldsworthy in the first 6 weeks. And then I can trade Rowbottom to Goldsworthy or to someone on that double in round 7, which will be Adelaide's double. So it could be Hatchard, could be Goldsworthy that you attack here. You could almost decide to go, it's more valuable to get 2 double midfielders and do almost a rookie down and then swapping 2 midfielders. You could do that by then, as you may have already upgraded, or you could swap a Rowbottom down to a Goldsworthy, or swap a Rowbottom to a Hatchard, and then do someone to do your last mid upgrade there to a Goldsworthy. So you could end up getting Goldsworthy, Hatchard from 2 rookies and Rowbottom, and that will get you a lot more points. So it's all about, I think, in this round 7, at least having 5 primo midfielders, and at least trying to get 2, if not 3 midfielders. Well, you're going to have Marinoff, but getting 2 or 3 midfielders that have the double on in this round, as that'll be crucial, because you basically want to have at least 2 midfielders on, or at least 1 midfielder on the double in each round, and then you want to try and complement it by another one, basically, which I think you can do. Because I think in the end I'll probably have 6, if not probably 6 or 7 midfielder doubles that I'll try and get to, which I think will be a lot better than trying to get like a Hoare or someone like that who you can just grab at the end of the season, I think, as an upgrade, as you may try and just finish this off later. But I think that these three are really good. I also think that Winslow is a really good one, as well as Goody. I think just looking at both those stats in the AFLW, they were beating up women when they were like teenagers, so that kind of shows that they were good, and they probably have gone near enough the top of the chain if they were in the national draft. So I think that they could be one. Sorry, that I was just stumbling over my words thinking about Ewings. They could be the ones that actually take the Phillips time rather than Ewing. So I think that is a really good watch to see that. But so it'll be a question: do you go with the 3 big primo midfielders, or do you go with 4 primo midfielders and go with like one of these midfielders off the bench from Port or the Western Bulldogs, who I think have also good midfielders? So that'll be the big question: is do you rate the rookie mids from the draft this year? As that'll be huge to think about. And I don't know what I'll do necessarily yet. Then we move on to the ruck line. Moffat versus Edmonds is basically the debate. I think going Edmonds is the better way, to be honest with you. I know it sounds crazy, but I just think she gets the double early. She'll be on top points-wise early. And then there's a potential in round 6 to flip to a Moffat. And then you'll get Moffat, and you'll effectively get, and this is what I was thinking about this whole time in the ruck, especially reviewing some of the other Fancy W sort of podcasts or whatnot, or sort of thoughts. And I was just thinking this whole time, I feel like that could almost be a trade that you get 12 games in the ruck effectively, because you get access to both their doubles, rather than just one if you were to go, you're always going to get 11 games if you go for one of the primos. But if you were to get Edmonds and then go to Moffat in round 6, I think that could generate a lot of points, especially if Moffat is outscoring Edmonds already. But in terms of average per game, because in terms of overall score, I expect Edmonds with the extra game to clear her by 40, 50 points. But then in the back half of the year, in the remaining 5 rounds plus this double, so it'll be first 6 games, I expect Edmonds to outscore Moffat, but then in the last 6 games, because of the double, and because I expect Moffat to still outscore Edmonds in general per game, I expect Moffat to outscore Edmonds potentially by, it could be in that specific round, in round 6, by 90 points, but then in these other games, it could be an extra 20, so you're gaining 110 points for the year for that trade by just swapping a player, so that could be huge. But then also you're getting a lot of points through. So yeah, it depends. I'd have to do the math of that, to be honest with you, and it may come down to just waiting for it. But I just think in general that starting the earlier double will be better, especially because I think Edmonds could be a player that actually increases in value, whereas I don't know if Moffat has much, to be honest, because Edmonds is going to get that solo ruck you would expect. Pierce, everyone has her at this point. It's the only ruck that looks like it's going to play. So at least the 300k ruck. So that's where I would go. It does mean that the first couple rounds there is potential that we all have 16 plus also 5 on the bench. So could be 21 green dots, which can be annoying for VC and captaincy. But when you're just chucking it on the easier matchup out of Garner and Marinoff each week, basically outside of the double, it becomes very easy. So yeah, I would just be, week 1, I'm going to be chucking it on Marinoff, probably week 2, probably chuck it on Garner. I think she has an easy matchup in week 2, but I'd have to double check. Then we get down to the forward line. Bonnie Toogood is another one that is just an easy pick there, simple. She's just averaging 102 and the only forward that I really trust, just due to her marking capability. She has a really good floor of, I think, 81, is it? Yeah, 81 and a couple of 83s, but the rest are tons. And still got a high ceiling at a 126 2 times and has gone tons in pretty much everything. Also, she's just really consistent. Didn't have her last year, so I want to make up for that. A little bit of FOMO there. Hoare, I don't know if this one is necessarily the greatest choice, just because you see here, take out that 142 and you look at the points scored, she goes down to 709 games, which is like 77, 78. She drops 8 points of average just because she had this massive game against an absolute stinker of a side in GWS. So I don't know if she plays GWS and when she plays them, if she does. But that could be a watch in there against when she plays the likes of Richmond, GWS, and West Coast, I think are the bottom sides. No, or Richmond bottom? No. Sorry, Western Bulldogs, GWS, and also West Coast are the bottom sides. I think Richmond aren't as bad as what I thought they were. I think they were like in that 6 to 8 clump with like Gold Coast and Sydney, from memory. And they were also near enough to Essendon, I think, from memory. But yeah, Katie Hall, I just don't know. I think she's one that could just... There isn't a trust there. I have to say it like that. Winston, Christy Lee, Weston Turner, the double barrel of double barrels. 29%, she's the number one pick. She's played as a key forward. She's played on ball. I think this will be similar to what happened with Montana Ham. And you can expect like a 50, 55, but I think around her. And the good thing about this is, remember again, we've been talking about West Coast. We've been talking about Western Bulldogs. Look again, she has that double early. So you'll be able to, one, get a gauge of her. Two, you'll be able to get the massive cash in that we expect from her. And then you can just jump out because she'll be done probably by then. She has the really good matchup of GWS in round 1, which is also a really good matchup. And we don't know exactly where she'll play, but yeah. Then you've got Yasmin Dersma. This is an interesting one just because she's had a couple of poor games where she went 4 and 8. She's moved clubs, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't necessarily agree with this one per se, which is probably going to be the one that I get wrong. As she averaged 27, so she's priced at 27, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let me just do the math there quickly, but I believe it would be 27. 27 she's priced at. What can she go? She's gone 189, take away 4, take away 12 points, 177 divided by 5. 177 divided by 5 is 35.4. You're getting +8. I don't think that's too good. I'd rather go a basement rookie or even a rookie like Weston Turner, is it? Weston Turner. Or Goody, or even like Pauga or Pauga. I think has really shown out in the VFLW games. If you look at that stat there, she's really shown out in those games. I think she's averaging like 80 in those. I don't remember exactly what it is. I can probably bring it up here. West Coast, GWS. Pauga in VFLW, 97.75 in the VFL. So I'd rather just pay up the extra 20k because I think you can almost do it actually. Is it possible? But I didn't do it for the case of this. But if you actually go by selected and then I just quickly jump over to forwards, you'll see Pauga's 363. You can easily just do this, bang, and your team I think is dramatically better. Just because Pauga's averaged 28 in 5 games and she played in Brisbane where she wasn't getting a game almost and wasn't getting midfield time. So I just think that she's going to go into that GWS midfield and absolutely rock it with Parker and Goldsworthy. I think will be their main midfielders as well as it Beatson. So I just think that she's going to be a lot better and that's why I would have done it. But just because of you'll see the difference in ownership. Dersma's down here, Pauga's down there. I thought I'll put Dersma originally in the team. Berodson, I can't get a read on her. I don't know if it's going to be her. What are the other Swans forwards? Because I know it's like Sarah something and Cooper. Let me just double check for you guys. Sydney, Sarah Grundon and Holly Cooper I thought would be a forward, but I guess not. I think she's listed as a midfielder. Let me just double check that. Where's Holly? Cooper, give me that. Holly Cooper, 300k mid at 4.27. So did I just miss her? Yeah, I did. One of those three is going to play, I expect. I just don't know which one. She's shown in patches, Beraldson, I think it is, that she can score. I just don't know if she will necessarily play. Like she scored in round 8 of 49. I just don't know if that's consistent enough or whether she gets consistent games with the younger rookies coming through for Sydney in Grundon and Cooper. Who I expect to get games somewhere in the season, as well as Giselle Davies could be an interesting one. Didn't play last year. I would look it up. Let me just double check. Can I quickly look this up for you guys? Because I don't want to show you the W stats per se, but I want to be able to just give you a sort of picture on what Giselle is, what she averaged before, because she's one that I expect to get games. Averaged 19 in season 7 for Gold Coast, so she's not going to be a fantasy scorer, I don't expect. But for Sydney, went 45, 37, 72, so she's averaging like, I don't know, 45, 50 in the, so 50 or so in the AFL, in the VFLW. So she could be one there, but obviously isn't owned high enough because we're talking about the team vanilla. And then you've got Noel here, who, if we just go back here, get me out of Sydney. Noel was 9.56k, sorry, not 9.56k, 9.56% in, and I think that's just because she may get a game, and we don't know at this point, but she was the only rookie that I could really grab, so I did miss out on. I really wanted to put Dersma in as well, I just didn't have the cash because Rowbottom was so highly owned. So if Rowbottom wasn't so highly owned, I would have had Noel in here and probably someone else in here if Zali Goldsworthy goes up. But I think the plan with Goldsworthy is to be one that you trade into rather than have it exactly at the moment. Would be nice if they also had dual position, which I think will come next year, I think. Hopefully. But yeah, Noel is just one there. And then Lawson Tavan was just the only rookie that was the highest percentage owned out of players that I could grab in, and she's shown before that she can score, but it's just inconsistent. So I wouldn't be really looking at her. I'd be more looking at rookies that are 300k, honestly, that have scoring potential that are just really underpriced, because you see that every time when the draft picks weight them, the lower draft picks can come in and just have an impact and score really well. Especially Goody. I think she's one that will really shock people. But anyway, that is a long video, and I guess I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow, which will be the my final teams for round 23 of the AFL Fantasy and Supercoach season, as well as my tips for round 23. So I'll see you guys in that video. Bye, guys.